achieved.
Whoo, buddy. Welcome in, everybody, to Studio Day Heffrey. It's nice to see you guys on whatever day of the week this is, on a Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk Jerry Jones. He talked about Earl Thomas this morning on 105.3 The Fan. You better believe I got the audio, at least all the parts that I feel like you need to hear. Interesting this morning because Jerry wanted to be asked. Some whispers got to our morning guys that said, hey, Jared kind of liked to be asked about Earl Thomas, which is weird considering his answer. I did enjoy that he called Ian Rappaport an idiot. But we're going to start today. We got some stuff on Zeke, and he was also on The Fan today talking about his role in the offense and what he's been working on this offseason. We're going to talk about what's going to be different about this defense, and this is straight out of the mouth of a Cowboys defensive lineman. But first, it's Jerry Jones on Earl Thomas. His first answer was pretty vague in terms of, hey, we're looking at some of our guys that play corner. We're planning to look at some of them at safety, and we're trying to figure out exactly what we got and all this. But he didn't really answer the question initially, which is weird for a guy who said he wanted to be asked about this. But here's the follow-up, because Sean Sharif said, well, wait a minute. Are you saying that you aren't interested in Earl Thomas? And here's what Jerry had to say.
No, I didn't say that at all. I said we're weighing not only where we are, the roster. I don't know if we got that part in, but a big part of this decision is where we are on our roster right now. That seems elementary, but that's a big part of this. And like all of these kinds of decisions, it never comes at you real soft. And so being all of that, this is one that we, of course, had in the for years and years, it seems like. And so we know the player. We've got a good read. Everybody in the league does on how he played last year. So you know where he is skill-wise and where he is at this part of his career. All of those go into consideration. We'll have a lot of things to put in the hopper, and then I'll make the decision.
What does that mean? So Jerry Jones today is not killing the idea that Earl Thomas could be a Dallas Cowboy, but just know, I think, one, he wanted to just remind the world that it'll be up to him there at the end. Like, oh, hey now, just know it'll be me. And that if they wanted to, the next step would be to reach out to Earl Thomas and talk to him. But that's just weird to me that he wanted to be asked about it, but he didn't have a definitive answer. I was assuming you would get a yes or no. Now, Ian Rappaport was reporting that the Cowboys have no plans to add Earl Thomas and that the Earl Thomas to the Cowboys saga is now over. And Jerry's response to that was he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about, which is pretty funny. So the Earl thing, Cheeto's a starting corner right now. Darryl Worley is not, but those are a couple of the names that I've heard. Well, kind of getting a couple of reps at safety. Kind of want to see what that looks like too. Earl, now look, okay, let's transition to the opinion piece of this. Earl, the football player, could help the Cowboys. Based on what I've heard from multiple people, think that you just steer clear. I think he's got enough going on that he needs to worry about individually outside of football before you want to put him into an NFL locker room. That's my Earl take. It's tough because I think it would be awesome if you could just add Earl Thomas's talent, but I don't think you can just add his talent. The things that happened in Baltimore and in Seattle weren't just football related. Earl Thomas has stuff he's got to get figured out. That's what I can say. So we'll see, and maybe, look, you want to think, well, he'd go to the Cowboys where he wants to be and suddenly he would just magically fall in line, even though that isn't how he's been behaving the last 3 years in football. I think you just got to take what's been going on with Earl Thomas over the last couple of years and say that's where he is right now, and to assume that he's going to come to your team and just be the ideal teammate and be at every practice and be on time for meetings and be reliable and dependable and a good teammate. I think that's super optimistic. Now, the Cowboys are the sort of team that might try it, but I will guess the Cowboys are going to pass on this situation, and it'll be my opinion that good for them. Don't worry about it. Now, let's talk about what Zeke was saying this morning on 105.3 The Fan as well, where they told him, Sean told him, he was like, hey, I got to be honest. Like, I've said that I think you've lost a step and all this. And Zeke was like, check my stats, dude. I haven't. And so then they moved on to, you know, what have you been working on this offseason? And he was talking about the passing game. And he said this offseason he hasn't been working on anything in terms of being a receiver. None of it was out of the backfield. He was just working on stuff out of the slot to try to become a better route runner, to be a guy that can be motioned out there and be used in that way. And that's the fun part about Mike McCarthy's offense is I'm thinking that the Cowboys will no longer be a team that it's, hey, first down, what are we going to do? Wham it up the middle, baby. Let's get these 3 yards, baby. Get to 2nd and 7. I'm thinking they won't be that team anymore. My buddy at Not to Be Trite put up a chart of last year, what the Cowboys did on first down. And 15 of the 16 games, the Cowboys ran the ball on 1st and 10 more than they threw it on 1st and 10, despite the fact that they're way better at throwing on 1st and 10 than they are at running in 1st and 10, so that's dumb. The 1 week where they threw it more than they ran it was Philly. When Dak couldn't lift his arm or throw a ball, they decided that week was the 1 week we really got to throw the ball on 1st and 10. So I don't even know where to begin with the coaching staff a year ago other than I don't want to talk about it. Last thing that's based on what a player said today. I saw an Antwaun Woods quote about the Cowboys defense last year and what his role will be this year. And he was talking about his position where he said, look, I'm still playing the one technique. I'm still kind of the 4-3 nose tackle. That's still my role. But the job has changed, and it needed to change. I was talking about this, I feel like it was every week last year, when we talked about some of the things that happened, like, okay, when the Cowboys were giving up big run plays, what was happening? And the answer is people weren't doing their job. At least that's what it looked like. Because if guys are doing their job on defense, you should be able to look, right? Between the center and guard here, that's the A gap. Between the guard and tackle, B gap, tackle, tight end, C gap, whatever, right? And you have it on each side of the field. And on a lot of the plays, you would watch them on defense on the All-22, and you would go, well, wait, it looked like no one had the B gap. No one even attempted to get there. And Antwaun Woods kind of verified that when he said with Rod, it was basically get back there. Be as disruptive as possible, and hopefully something good happens. Whereas now, what Antwaun was talking about is now it's all going to be working together, where it's not so much, oh, my job is to fly past this guy. No, my job is to deal with this guy and hold this gap and give Jalen or Van Der Esch a chance to get to where they've got to get to make a play, and give this guy on this side of me a chance to play his side. I like the potential of what they can do on defense. Because, one, I think it's great that Antwaun Woods will now not be a starter. He'll be your other nose tackle. I think that's more in the mold of what he should be for an NFL football team. And you'll have Don Terry Poe there, so now you'll be better at nose tackle. You'll be better schematically. And, look, this happens with every team, right? No matter what your team used to do, you get a new coaching staff, and what they're going to do now is better. But, man, I totally believe it. You got DBs in practice now making plays on the ball. Cheeto, probably chief among those guys. I heard Xavier Woods had a couple of batted balls the other day, but you have guys now actually attacking the ball and being allowed to look for the ball. There's a novel concept. And on the defensive line, it's no longer, guys, we don't really care. Just get back there. Just raise holy hell. Now it's, no, here's the plan. Our defensive line is playing the run on the way to the quarterback. Our defensive line, part of your job is to not let offensive linemen just run right by you and erase our linebackers at the second level. No, you're going to engage. You're going to play these guys. You're going to give these guys a chance, either as blitzers or as run defenders, to do their job without having free access from your defensive line, letting the offensive line be in your linebackers' laps. So I like that. I liked hearing that from Antwaun Woods. Now, let me move over here and get the mailbag questions out. You guys know mailbag questions. All right, here we go. Hold on. Let me get the laptop going. Got a few of them here. Alejandro says, Jeff, love your videos. The way you talk just makes me smile. Thanks, man. Big fan from Mexico. Question. What's your opinion on Isaac Alarcon? I never learned how to say his name. From the program the NFL has, Alarcon. But he's an offensive tackle. The only thing I've really heard about him, I wouldn't bank on him like making the team or anything. Maybe he could be a practice squad guy. But I did hear that one rep on the goal line, he had a nice little pancake block. That's all I've heard. Let's see. Nicolas Garcia, the Stars are really surprising me, and Luka's a monster. Haven't watched the Stars all year. Have they been this good most of the season? Luka and the Mavs won without Porzingis. I'm excited for tomorrow's game. Go Mavs. Stars were awesome last night. I know a lot of you probably aren't here for Stars talk, but shout out to Dobby, who's never seen or read Harry Potter, but still has Dobby the house elf on his mask. For like 35 minutes of that game, Stars freaking dominated. Locked it down. And it was awesome. And go Mavs. Noah Thompson, what are the odds Dak throws 40 touchdowns this year? And if so, 1 or 2 double-digit TDs for receiver/Jarwin? I'll say there's a 20% chance that Dak throws 40 touchdowns, maybe 25. It's doable. And I will say you do not have multiple receivers with double-digit touchdowns. You'll have one, and it'll either be Cooper or Lamb. I know Lamb's over-under, I believe, is set at 4.9. Take the over. That's your red zone, dude. Bryce said, hey, Jeff, 19%er. Those are people who have notifications turned on at youtube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. Dak fan, but if we can't get him to re-sign, do you think Trey Lance, the North Dakota State quarterback, would fit our offense for 2021? Look, I'm just trying to keep my quarterback, all right? You guys can try to run the quarterback off if you want to. I'm trying to keep the quarterback. But I guess in a fantasy world where you say he's not there anymore, the only way I would not have Dak is if you knew you couldn't work out a long-term deal for whatever reason, and you cleared the money to franchise tag him anyway, and then you traded him so you had more draft picks, then you package your draft picks, then you go up and grab Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance. I'm not letting Dak walk to just have whoever. You better have a plan to go get somebody. You guys want Andy Dalton, don't you? Is that what's happening? You guys want Andy Dalton? Hey, Jeff, 19%er. This is Shane Adams. Can we possibly see Dak and Andy Dalton sharing snaps in the same game in certain situations? Keep up the great work. Love what you do. No! Stop trying to put a worse quarterback on the field on purpose. Chill out, Shane. Had enough of this nonsense. The lunatic. Hope all's well, Jeff. Loud and proud 22%er here. Well, we're at 19 right now. Don't get ahead of yourself. You mentioned on Dallas Cowboys Universe with Skywalker, plans if Tyron Smith misses multiple games. You'd move Lyle Collins to left tackle, McGovern to left guard, Connor Williams to right tackle. I trust the other two. Do you trust Sewell versus Tank like LDEs, left defensive ends? Look, the only point I wanted to make when we were talking about the offensive line is I'm not using a premier pick to try to replace Tyron Smith because he's still awesome, so that's silly. He's still young and has a contract. But if I lost Lyle Collins or Tyron Smith, I don't like what they have at offensive tackle. I don't like any of those guys having to play. And so, yeah, I think they're better equipped to have an injury at guard. So Connor Williams is going to be starting left guard. I think that's going to happen. It's going to be Joe Looney and Connor Williams at left guard and center. But if I had an injury and I knew it wasn't for 1 or 2 weeks, but it was like 5 or 6, yeah, I'd get crazy. I would either flip Lyle Collins, like let's say you lost Tyron. I might flip Lyle, which is probably dumb, so maybe you should just move Connor. But I would rather use Connor Williams at a tackle spot and plug Connor McGovern in at guard than put in Cam Irving. Sorry, Cam Fleming's gone. He's going to be bad for the Giants this year. That's just where I'm at. Leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow. I love you guys. Thank you so much for always being here. Check 1053thefan.com every day. Be subscribed. Who's still here at 14:08 after that flub? Be subscribed. YouTube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. I love you. Bye.